Some stories you hear are they're almost impossible to believe. And this is definitely one of them. It's about how a completely normal family afternoon turned into this desperate fight for survival. And it's about how a 13-year-old kid made a choice that just defied everything. All right, let's get right into this incredible journey. I'm gonna swim for it. Just 6 words, but these words, spoken by a 13-year-old boy who was literally adrift at sea, well, they're the entire heart of this story. Just try to picture it. You're miles from shore, the sun's going down, your family is in real danger. And this one sentence, this is the moment an ordinary kid decides to do something absolutely extraordinary. And what did that decision lead to? 4 incredibly long, grueling hours. That is how long he fought the ocean, alone, with absolutely everything on the line. We're gonna circle back to what this number really means. But first, we've got to see how it all started. Yeah, to really understand just how massive this act of courage was, we have to rewind. Because this whole ordeal doesn't begin with a storm or some big crisis. No, it starts on a beautiful, calm afternoon. The kind of perfect day where a fight for your life is the absolute last thing on your mind. So this is our hero, Austin. He's just 13 years old, and he's a kid who grew up by the water, you know? He was comfortable swimming, kayaking, all of it. He loved the ocean, but he had no idea it was about to test him in a way he could never, ever have imagined. I mean, you can just picture it, can't you? The family's just enjoying the water near Quindalup. They're laughing, splashing around. Austin's on a paddleboard, his mom Joanna's in the kayak, and his younger brother and sister are on another board. Just a perfect, idyllic scene. And then it all changed. As anyone who's spent time on the water knows, the sea can be so unpredictable. That gentle breeze can turn into a powerful enemy in just minutes. And for this family, that's exactly what happened. And things went south incredibly fast. The gentle wind suddenly became a fierce current. That calm bay, it transformed into rough, choppy seas. And in what must have felt like a heartbeat, they went from being close to shore to drifting for miles, completely at the mercy of the ocean. It was just this cascade of disasters, one after another. The oars get lost. The kayak starts taking on water. Mom tries to tow the paddleboards, but that just swamps the kayak even more until it's useless. And just like that, they're stranded miles out and the sun is starting to set. So this is the turning point. Right in the middle of all this chaos, and with hope fading fast, a single decision gets made. A decision that seemed, both completely insane and absolutely necessary at the same time. Austin's looking at his mom and his younger siblings. They're just clinging to their boards. And he just knew. He knew that waiting wasn't an option. The current was just going to keep pulling them further and further out. Someone had to get to shore. Someone had to get help. And he decided that someone was going to be him. So he says I'm going to swim for it. And then he does something that just sounds totally counterintuitive, right? He takes off his life jacket. Why would he do that? Because it was creating drag. It was slowing him down. It was this calculated risk that shows you this 13-year-old was already thinking like a survivor, focused on one thing and one thing only, speed. Okay, so now we get to the swim itself. And what comes next is just an unbelievable test of physical endurance, of mental fortitude. It was a battle not just against the water, but against the absolute limits of his own body. Let's just pause on this for a second. 13. Think about it. At 13, your biggest worry might be homework or a video game. Austin's worry was swimming through a rough, open ocean to save his family. The scale of what he did becomes so much bigger when you remember just how young he was. And how far did he go? 2.5 miles. That's over 4 kilometers. Not in a nice, calm swimming pool. No, this was in choppy, open water, fighting against currents the whole way. I mean, that's a distance that would challenge a fully trained adult athlete. And here's the part of the story that just blows my mind. Right before this whole ordeal, Austin was in a swimming program where he was struggling to complete 350 meters. That's less than a quarter of a mile. He went from finding that hard to swimming more than 10 times that distance in the worst conditions imaginable. It's just unbelievable. So how on earth did he do it? Well, it wasn't just raw strength. It was strategy. Physically, he was smart. He saved energy by switching up his strokes. Mentally, he fought off the darkness by thinking of simple, happy things, like Thomas the Tank Engine just chugging along, saying, "I think I can." And above all else, his motivation was keeping that picture of his family in his head, waiting for him.
Can you even begin to imagine the pain, the absolute burn in his muscles, the salt stinging his eyes, his lungs just screaming for air with every single wave that crashed over him? But through all of that, he just had this simple mantra, a command he gave himself over and over: just keep swimming.
So after hours of this brutal effort, the swim finally comes to an end. But his mission wasn't over, not by a long shot. Now came the rescue part, and this is where we see how one boy's determination saved everyone. Finally, after 4 hours in the water, his feet hit sand. He was completely spent, and he just collapsed on the beach. But there was no time to rest. He gets up and he runs, just looking for the first person he can find to sound the alarm. And this part is just as incredible as the swim. Despite the exhaustion, the trauma, everything he'd just been through, Austin was able to give rescuers clear, precise information. He wasn't just physically strong. His mind was sharp even under that insane pressure, and that clarity was absolutely crucial. And because of that impossible swim, and because of his clear directions, the rescue was swift. Within just an hour, a helicopter spotted his mom and his siblings. They were cold, they were tired, but they were safe, kept afloat by their life jackets. His incredible effort had worked. And you don't have to take my word for how amazing this was. When the professionals, the people who do this for a living, heard the story, they had one word for it: superhuman. They know those conditions. They know what it takes to survive out there. And they knew what this 13-year-old boy had just done was way beyond what most people are capable of.
So what's the takeaway here? Well, it's a really powerful reminder that real courage has nothing to do with how old you are or how big you are. It's about a refusal to give up. It's about refusing to let go, especially when the people you love are counting on you.
You know, this story shows us that courage isn't about not being afraid. I'm sure Austin was terrified. Courage is feeling that fear, knowing it's there, and doing what has to be done anyway. And it leaves all of us with a pretty powerful question to think about. If you are faced with impossible odds, what are you truly capable of for the people you love?